Go.
Okay, we're live. Welcome to everybody to TFC Open Mic Season 2, Episode 30. And this one we've titled TLC Tastic. Well, it could be Tastic. You want, your eyes aren't deceiving you. Stu is here tonight. Good evening, Stu.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Okay, then. So Rue will drop in later on, I'm sure, and be amazed to see you here, that sort of stuff. And for those in chat and on air, obviously, Stu's going to lead tonight. Okay, which is amusing because he's been sleeping most of the week and he didn't even know what day it was. So this will be quite a good one tonight. So when it's Stu's turn, like I say, we've got at least 5 TLCs to have a little chat about and that sort of stuff, and we'll give him some pointers on obviously things that may be coming up in the forum or on the forum, because I'm going to scan some of the forum stuff while I'm on the sideline here. And welcome to some new individuals this evening. We've got that says Black Leather's mum. I'm sure it does on there. So. Yeah, and Headface obviously here, and obviously we've got Brethren as well, and obviously Peter's in, Stu himself, and also Synergy as well. So there we go. Fresh people, yes, and as it says in chat there, I won't say the last little bit, but yes, it is Stu. He is here. Okay,
I
take
am
it away,
definitely
mate.
here. I'm not a clone or anything. I was in a self-induced coma for a little while, so that explains my absence.
Okay. I'll mute. You go.
All right. So basically, a lot of TLCs is what I'm seeing. So I want to know who's already attempted the Inquisition TLC.
I've done all of them.
Wow, you've done all of them. Okay, you're way ahead of me. I was actually going to start with Synergy. Synergy's one of the new guys as well. Synergy, how many of the TLCs you done?
I just finished the Icebreaker one. I'm going to refit my Visago's Icebreaker so I can do some of the Garrison ones. And I only did 4 of the Hunger before, so I'm hoping if I do the 5th one, I'll get the badge and then be able to get the badge from the Inquisition. That's the plan.
That's
Yeah,
fun,
I'm still shocked at all of them. I can't get past that.
yeah, me too.
Like, how did you just do all of them? I'm sitting there looking there, and I'm just like, I should probably do a TLC. No, I'll do it tomorrow. And like, you're just like, I've done them all.
I
It's
think
impossible.
there's a video out there of somebody running through all of them with no repair or something of that nature.
Oh my god, that guy's crazy. Oh, I did do the Icebreaker campaign the last time it came out because I wanted to refit for the Forsaken mission to make my Icebreakers, a little better than that, which they are now. But I'm not going to do it this time. I don't need to do the Skyfire campaign because I already have my Skyfires fully built. And
You do those two. Because remember, we're going to get an upgraded weapon for that at some point along the way. So it'd be nice to have the extra 12 build tokens to refit them.
True, but I've still got build tokens left for Skyfire because I built slow. It was the first thing I worked on. So I mean, I shouldn't need any more. I might pick up 1 or 2. Maybe I'll do prize pack 2 only, and just get I think it was 2 one-day tokens or something you get for that.
Yeah, it's 2, and then it's 10 at the next level.
Oh, that's such a jump.
But they've already announced that they're going to give us, some different version of the of that UAV.
Yeah,
very similar to the D100V and the D85D.
Yeah, I think I heard that as well somewhere. I can't remember where.
So it's going to be a speed UAV?
We just know it's going to be better.
Probably be a different type of damage, maybe.
So time to refit again, eh?
Well, you can imagine it's probably going to be heavier as well, so it cause a lot of refit as well. Especially those that are running Phalanx 4s on, because they're quite heavy as they are. So if the weapon becomes heavier, it's going to screw your whole refit up.
Yeah, previously I think they've been conscious of that and either made them the same weight or actually lighter.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see. Does anyone know what the weight difference between the 2 siege rockets was? I was pretty sure that the newer one came out heavier.
Let me take a look.
Because I think it was more damage, heavier weight.
Come on.
I can't see it. I can't get it up in front of me.
I'm just trying to look now, mate. It's good.
As far as the siege rockets, I don't know for sure, and this is only info off the top of my head, so don't quote me on it. But I believe, stepping back to the OU-10 versus the 85D, I think those were like the exact same weight.
Rockets are too.
rockets,
550.
Yeah, I was just about to say the siege rockets are both 550.
I don't know why I thought they were heavier. Must have saw a different number somewhere.
Let's keep that trend the same then, shall we?
Yeah, well, hopefully it does come out the same, and then it shouldn't cause too much refit.
Yeah, I do know one thing about the OU10 versus the D85D. I think I mentioned this a while back, but the D85D actually gets a bonus from the shipyard upgrades, and the OU10 doesn't. So in the long run, the 85D is actually lighter than the OU10.
Legion.
Yeah, no weight reduction for Legion Tech yet.
Nah. I'm going to do the
Shipyard
Hunger campaign. I'm definitely doing that. I love my structure build tokens. I've got all my turrets at maximum level, but I can never be bothered to collect base parts anymore. So I just collect structure build tokens from the TLCs. It's just so much faster.
Yeah, I do every other. Yeah, can't be bothered.
Yeah, I mean, what's this one for? What have I got used? Garrison for 1, 2, 3, and 5, and then Conqueror for 4. Yeah, I remember doing that. You can use your mud gloves for the Conqueror one, if I'm not mistaken, and take no damage.
Yeah, it definitely seems endgame base parts are going to be seasonal.
Well, since they changed to the base parts targets, I've not really touched them because they're just not as what I could have done before. You remember, like when you first built your ironclad, whatever you built, you could just auto about 97 mines.
Yep.
I missed that. I missed that so much.
Welcome
So
to
now
the
I'm just like, I'm not
club.
doing it. I'm on strike. I'm on base part strike.
Yeah, I've been able to do everything with the tokens we've been getting.
Yeah, pretty much. So I don't really need to. I'm probably
Rum's
going to do
in.
the
Hey, Rum, how you
Humble
doing?
Good, mate. How are you?
Hi, mate. And Gorilla Slap. I love that. That's real. Gorilla. How you doing?
I know him.
Do you?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I do.
I don't know.
I think he's old TTMX, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I'm not sure. He's on mute at the moment, but I'm sure he'll have a chat in a bit, or he'll sort himself out. Right. So we were talking about this. Obviously, this in blooming Hull and that sort of the Inquisitor and that sort of stuff. Has anybody actually used it in anger yet? Has anybody actually had a look at the auras? Because they're all over the place, aren't they? These auras for this ship.
Built it, ran with it, hit a few bases, died in one spectacularly, and killed the other 3.
So
They were smaller bases.
I won't lie, I've not had much chance to actually read up on it. I did see it. I did see the blueprint, I think, a couple of days ago or something, from some sort of post. I never got a chance to actually sit down and look. And from first glance, it actually just confuses me.
Yeah, it does me too, mate.
Like, it's one of those ones I'm going to have to sit down and properly read it to understand what it does.
I mean, for me, I mean, I don't know. You have a look at this. I'll just show you what I'm just going to have a look at. So there's the screen. Let me just zoom in a little bit so people can see the type. So there's the auras that it presents to the different ships in that set. So it's a bit random, isn't it?
It is. It's a bit confusing, actually. I'm pretty sure the Oppressor already has a very high ballistic. Or is it? Or is that penetrating it has?
Well, it can't take explosive for a start.
It's ballistic.
No. Does it already have a really high ballistic?
Yeah, it's like 90,000, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'm not sure why it's giving it another 3,500. But okay.
Well, these apply to all the other rival ships.
Yeah, but it
So
says
the
here
idea
that
is to
it
run them all
applies
separately.
Well, I'm pretty sure. No, wait, I'm confused. I'm so confused.
So yeah, I mean, look.
All right, hang on. Just as a example, if I was to run an Inquisitor with an Oppressor, the Oppressor would gain ballistic deflection of 3,500, right?
Correct.
No.
No. Right.
Wait.
Okay, how does it work?
Come on then, Rum.
My Inquisitor would gain
if
3,500?
Yes, your Inquisitor gets
Right.
the 3,500.
That's
so
where I was confused.
the Oppressor shares with the other 4. The Inquisitor shares with the other 4. So it builds a cohesive unit. That's why you need to run all 5 of them together.
Oh my god,
goodness
that is going to be so difficult to. Ugh. Like, I mean, like, once you got used to it, you could probably, do
Make a
something
mess.
about that. But, like, it's going to be literally like, okay, I've got to go up against that. I need this ship. Where's that ship gone?
Right.
So you're getting everything except for radioactive.
I was going to say there's no radioactive whatsoever.
Well, that's what I put on my Inquisitor in order to protect it. Was I put 5 of the radiation plates?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah, I
5,
still
3.
got shock plates for some reason.
5,000.
And there's no concussive across the fleet, is there? I take it.
Well, you get concussive from the Inquisitor.
Right, and
It
that
gives-
so that yeah, I see that there. It's got concussive 2.5, so it's giving that automatically to all the other hulls, is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
So the
Okay.
Inquisitor affects all of them, and then whatever else you have in the fleet affects the rest. Is basically what it's saying.
Well, yeah, the Inquisitor, it's really kind of strange. It's almost like the planet's revolving around the sun. It's a cohesive unit. You have all 5, you get all of their deflections added to the other boats.
Well, I couldn't see me running all 5. To be honest with you, I could see me, selecting the ones that I find most useful when running low.
Well, then
Yeah,
you're
but
going
you
to be
might
running
want to
into-
run off. I mean, I put some slides together that I showed last night.
Because there's no way I'm running 1 ballistic, 1 mortar, 1 missile, 1 radioactive, and 1 concussive hull all at the same time. That would just confuse me so hard. That would be so difficult for me to drive.
At least they look different.
Yeah. I mean, they look different, but that would be so challenging to drive that. Figuring out which ship you want first, and that it'd probably take me 3 minutes in the base. I just have to peek that base and then spend 3 minutes deciding which hull to send where.
As there's a couple of people have said in the forums, okay, and I'm not going to scroll down through because it gets a bit sort of
so weird.
Actually, to be honest, some of the forums since obviously the Rampage has started, it's actually died down a little bit. I think people are giving a bit of breathing space, but in some of the areas it's still a little bit poisonous and a bit toxic. But in general, I think that the feedback for this, from what I can make out, is it's getting goddamn confusing and really technical, the game. If you were to build a Pride, you just add another Pride and then another Pride and another Pride, and you get the Pride 4 and that sort of stuff, and you go, right, they're starting to die off now, I'm not going to make it, I'll extract. But when you start looking at this lot here, you've got to think, right, well, that one's died. What order did that affect? Well, that affected this piece and that sort of stuff. Well, can I remember on the top of my head what bonus that one gave and that sort of stuff? It's going to be, you're going to have to know your math for a start, and you definitely have to have a pretty good memory. And you can't drink playing this one. that's the annoying bit. You've got to remember actually take notice of what you're doing.
Darren Binkle just hit the nail on the head in chat. You need a astrophysics degree to drive your fleet. Pretty much. I'm looking at it and I'm just so confused. I mean, once I sit down, like I said, and actually, read it through, I'll get it. But right now, at first glance, I'm just like, what? What's going on? What is this?
I can see the concept, and we've got to the end of obviously the series now, this whole type and that sort of stuff, and that's great. And I can see the way the concept works. And you just have to, I suppose, hit bases in a different way and go, all right, that's the turret that's coming in. Right, I'm going to send that one forward, extract it back again before it dies, obviously. Take the next one forward to the next piece, and then chop bases up, I suppose.
Yep. I mean, that's the way it's intended. You can sit there and say, okay, here's a ballistic turret. I need to send in my oppressor first, in order to tank that ballistic fire and hit it with other stuff.
Mm. Yeah, no, I hear you there, because I mean, obviously, you're if you're going to go Prides and that sort of stuff with the Visago as well, which helps obviously with obviously radioactive. Then you've got a survivor in the background, then that helps with corrosive and that sort of stuff. But that's about as technical as it really gets, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But this is obviously just to the next level of smartass sort of playing, really, to me.
Well, it gets really complicated when you try to factor in the bloodthirst that also overlap.
Yeah, so we're just going to wait a couple of seconds because Hefe's got a couple of slides, and like I say, we do a lot of pairing on our 2 shares anyway. So if he could bring up his slides or grab them, I'm sure he's got them in the background. He can cover this. I mean, this is a bit sort of impromptu, but I think as it's the latest TLC, it'd be worth doing and that sort of stuff. So
Are we going to talk about Inquisitor builds in a bit, or
yeah, as long as you've got one, we'll share your screen.
I've got one, but that's not what I'm curious about. Was the build that Ewok seems to have come up with?
All right,
with the models on there.
Yeah, I'm intrigued because I didn't think you could retarget off of models, but or off of the missile anyway. So,
whoops, I guess I picked the wrong one. Okay, here we go. This is previously what you talked about was with the. I'm sorry, part of it's getting covered up, but basically you're getting everything but radioactive in here.
Mic issues, I think.
Then once you add in the bloodthirst, if any one of them they all can get 20 stacks. So everybody's going to get plus 75 combat speed, turn speed of plus 50, field resistance of plus 50, star resistance of plus 50. Then you start adding in the ore deflection plus bloodthirst deflection.
Yeah.
Then you start to see the numbers really add up. And then here's the damage and reload. I just wanted to throw that out there because it's not just the new auras, it's the new auras. And if you're able to achieve that's fit full max 20 stacks.
Yeah, and we know that we always love that stacking ability when Liberators, you know, in the early days when it was just one of the first holes that made a huge change to the game. That, you know, once you got that bloodthirst on those Liberators, they were crazy ships. They really were. Now people have obviously managed to counter those since, and you know, a full fleet of those sort of stuff really can't sort of like do the job anymore. But in this combination effect, I can see some interesting things happening, but I just think it makes the game for the average Joe real technical.
It does. It's very complicated.
And I'm not being disrespectful by saying the average Joe, because I include myself in that group. You know, this is something I'm going to have to sit down and go on the Pika base and then look at it, maybe take a snapshot of it. Actually, we used to do that in the old days, I must admit, and I have stopped. I've been very lazy lately, and not just doing it, just going in there and smashing it with some pride, you know. But, you know, if you want to use this, you're going to have to take a bit more notice, I think, of what's there and, you know, and what they've got in their defense and that sort of stuff, you know, because the reverse effect would obviously happen, wouldn't it? But this combination effect, I can see.
Yeah, and this is only occurring if you're running one of each.
The average Joe.
Sort of, I think, what they're pushing for, because they're talking about the Voltron.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Someone's got the YouTube on in the background, by the way, just out of interest.
Yeah, as far as relative to what we're talking about, I just had these two slides relative to the new auras and bloodthirst and whatnot. So you can take me off unless you want to see the, unless you want me to go back to the, or you probably have it, the blueprint for the Inquisitor.
Yeah, we can flip up the Inquisitor blueprint itself, actually, which is pretty straightforward to do. The interesting thing about it is the fact that the models, and I didn't think, a little bit like when you put them on the holes, I didn't realize that you could actually retarget off the top things, but it seems like you can now. Is that what you found, Rum?
Well, I haven't built the one with the muds. I've just watched Ewok do his couple of hits, and it seems like it was, yes.
Well, that's strange, isn't it? Well, we'll just put the blueprint up quickly, and we'll just we'll have a quick look at it. I'll just log in the game quickly, and I'll just grab it.
I have it up if you wanted to.
Oh, you got it, mate. Oh, that'll be even easier. That's just simpler. There we go. Okay. So obviously we had a look on the split screen there, which had the bloodthirst effects. Obviously, you know, and we know the fact that these stack up to 20 times and that sort of stuff. We're content with that because that's pretty standard for this combination of groups. I like the fact that it's got a reasonable speed straight out of the factory, which is quite nice and that sort of stuff. I think it gets up to about 56, doesn't it? Something like that. Is that about right? With the speed of 5 or something? It is. It's quite a quick ship.
56 by itself, and then you add on the or 56, 58. I think if you add on, is it the Survivor's Bloodthirst? I think it's about to 100 or something. Because it adds 75% combat speed.
Yeah, you get that boost effect as well, isn't it? So this is the sort of like hull that brings them all together. It's quite a weird sort of combination, isn't it? When you know you're always going to have to go and hit some other things as opposed to just hitting bases. Although it's quite difficult because obviously Conquerors you can only hit certain things, but you know, having a fleet that can, or a ship that can do 100 combat speed is going to take a bit of getting used to. I mean, what do you load it up with? Do you want to load it with rockets, or do you want to load it with, I don't know. I mean, it's not meant for rockets, obviously, but 100, you know, you can virtually run past most things, can't you? You just got to make sure the damn thing turns. So, you know. There's all sorts of things. This thing needs to stay alive, though, obviously. It's
everything. Yeah, that's the strange part of the game is everything needs to stay alive, because if you start dropping ships, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah. So have you seen, Stu, have you seen these stats before, mate? Have you?
Once. I can't remember when. I think it was like yesterday or something.
So this is weird. So I mean, the fact this is the last of the rivals, sort of grouping, and as Ron was just saying there, you know, to lose one, it starts to bleed in the remainder and that sort of stuff, you know. And the fact there's overlap between the special abilities between ships, I think it's really complex. I don't think
Well,
it's
every time you lose a sheep, you become weaker to whatever the hell you lost, right?
Mm.
So,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, that's just so confusing. That would be, it would, oh, yeah, it hurts my brain.
But when you start doing auras like speed auras, 75% fleet speed, ship speed and that sort of stuff, and that goes across a range of different ships, then you just no point just balancing the fleet out. You just got to try a little bit like you treat a Pride. Each ship is a combat unit in its own right, with the Prideful, but it's really easy because they're all identical and they're all mirrored and that sort of stuff.
Well, I don't think that they actually wanted you to have one of each. I think that they wanted you to pick which ship that you like the most, or you'll use it for the situation, and then mix and match those. So like you maybe mix like 2 Inquisitors, and this is just an example. I'm not saying do it. 2 Inquisitors and 3 Liberators. Maybe they're like, okay, right, well you've got two of these or 3 Liberators, or
well, the thing that misses with the oppressor, for example, is the fact that it doesn't need put it near a bit of explosive and it falls apart.
Well, I just don't think that they want you to run one of each ship.
They keep on mentioning Voltron. They keep on mentioning adding them all together to create a larger whole. So I think that's actually what they do want you to do. They do want you to build one of each ship.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's fortunate because most of the ships, what I've built so far is one of each ship. Because as a standalone, if you put in, as somebody hit me with a fleet of the last one, a full set of 5, it didn't even make 2 turrets because it had no explosives defense at all. Whereas Liberators are pretty decent, but then again they're weak in other areas. So it's interesting. I'm interested to see some base hit videos. There you go. That's the first thing for a long time. I'm actually interested to see some base hit videos to see where this goes. And it's not for me to jump ahead and go and start trying out PvP stuff because it's just not the area of the game that I'm actually at the forefront of. I'll let the big alliances worry about that sort of stuff. And the only thing that does then obviously cause an issue is, well, not an issue, but don't ever expect anybody to really share you their best PvP, fleet builds and that sort of stuff, because that's the other area of the game that, as far as I'm concerned, and quite rightly so, that's something they should withhold to themselves. I don't mind chore stuff, and I expect Stu will probably agree. I would never share everything on the PvP side because that actually does cost people money.
I know from the information that I know it's barely stepping back a little bit, but when you look at the deflection plus the bloodthirst, I think of it in terms of, okay, how's my base laid out? How is my base going to react to these coming in? I have hyenas with the added damage to them, with the AT transformers on them, all the proper specials, all of that. My hyenas are doing 78,000 damage if they hit. Look at that pin defense once it is built up. All they have to do, if they have the 50% turret, they could almost put pin plate 3.
Yeah, and get away with it.
One single pin plate 3, get hit by a hyena and just kind of shrug it off like, oh, a mosquito.
Which is that Voltron effect again, isn't it? That's what we're talking about.
Exactly. And I mean, as somebody looking back at the whole big picture, wow, this is a genius concept. Is it complicated? Yes, but when you don't look at the 5 lions and look at Voltron itself, you're sitting back going, oh wow, defender of the universe for sure.
Yeah, this is almost like, I mean, you can't capitalize on somebody else's thing, but in Star Trek it's the Borg, isn't it? Like, as individuals they're nothing, but as a collective it's everything. Exactly. And this is exactly that.
Resistance is futile.
yeah, exactly. So you've almost got to add up all the auras, and I like the way the FA's done it there. Once you compute all of those in, and as long as they all stay alive, it's just the fact, as Stu said, once you start dropping a ship or two, then you've really got to do some mental maths on the hop, and you've only got 5 minutes. And that'll take a lot. So by the time you sorted that out and worked it all out, we'll probably be at OP10. It'll all change again. But we've got a few months, haven't we? So it's good. So builds, yeah. I mean, are you interested in builds, that sort of stuff? Are you thinking about who's actually had a look at the build of these sort of things? Anybody at all yet? I personally haven't, I must admit.
Neither have I. It's just because the more I look at it, the more I'm thinking, what are they doing? Trying to turn this into EVE Online?
Good point. It's that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's a morph, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just like, okay, yes, it's powerful, but you basically got to run a spreadsheet to use it properly.
It's just going to confuse the hell, I think, out of 95% of the players, and the 5% that get it are going to have some fun. But like I say, I think there's going to be a lot more of peeking of bases, and then if someone comes and peeks you and then runs away, that's in a big alliance, that stuff. I suggest you change your base around a little bit. And then when they come back in, your turrets will be in different places, and that might confuse them hopefully, or have 2 or 3 designs saved. If you're that bothered, or you just press repair and carry on with your normal PvE.
Yeah, I'm probably going to take the third option myself.
I tend to do that myself, I have to say, these days. Although I am going to build one of each and fit it out, not necessarily the standard weaponry that it comes with, but But it still takes a lot to beat prides, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, yes, you can stop prides, plenty of people do, but if I peak one a base that I don't think my prides are getting, I think there are plenty of more bases still in the game. So yeah, I don't want to fail in the first base and then just go and have a long ass fix, because I can't be bothered with that. It's boring. Anyway,
yeah.
Stu, you back, mate? Or has he run away?
Yeah, sorry, I'm back.
Yes, all right, mate. Okay, so are we good? We had enough, or do you want to? The question I'm not sure, and I don't know which alliance Ewok's in even these days, to be honest. So they'll keep up on PvP stuff. So he's managing to hit, and he's got muddle missiles on his ship, and he's using that obviously for retargeting with the oppressor. So I didn't know the missile could do that. I thought as a lead ship, or is it just on a submarine that it does that? Because if the model can use that, that's got a hell of a range.
Okay, I've got one queued up here that I'll post now. He is not running one of each. He is running it kind of like Stu was saying, with 2 liberators, 2 oppressors, and an inquisitor.
Okay. Is that a build, or is that a base hit you got? Or
it's a base hit that I've got. I don't know what his build is.
Okay. If you've got a base hit, we'll have a look at it. I don't mind. I know Ewok won't mind. He quite likes it, so that's it. Okay, well, we can see someone's there. Definitely got at the front end. Look, they've got some anti-corrosive there, and they've probably got a little bit of sub-detection.
So there goes the Inquisitor.
Looks like a random swordfish, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So he's just
letting it run. It's not actually firing off of the.
Ewok and his friggin' potato PC.
Yeah. We are watching a stream from via obviously Hangouts, so
No, it's his PC, definitely.
Not as bad as pros. Mind you, that thing's dying. See again, it doesn't like explosive, does it? As we said.
No, and that's the problem with running it by itself without the rest of the protection.
Well, rip.
So is there a range issue then? Is there as well? Is the aura have a range on that, on the whole lot?
Is this Ewok hitting the base?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, no wonder why it's so bad.
Oh, meow. See, everyone starts getting really aggressive when PvP comes up. PvE, everyone's really helpful. As soon as you hit PvP, that's it. People will start doing that alliance defensive thing. It's funny.
Well, he still might make it though.
I think he will.
He makes it.
Yeah, he will. There's nothing left there now.
Yeah, he's got nothing left that can kill the libs.
It wasn't exactly the hardest base in the world, though, was it?
No.
Well, no, it wasn't.
But he made it look hard. Jesus.
Stu, you're such a bad man.
I'm just saying how it is.
So,
You're such a bad man.
There you go, Ewok. I tried bigging you up, mate. There you go.
Yeah, let's not watch another one of his. I can't deal with his potato PC.
Okay, I'll take it down.
Thank you. Right. Anyway, yeah.
So there you go. That's the Inquisition done. Okay, then, and obviously that's the last obviously of that. I love the fact that it's called Voltron. I think the Voltron effect is quite amusing. It's just funny. So the Inquisitor is the last hole. It looks like something out of freaking Joe 90. I don't know. That's come out of the 1970s and that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's supposed to be Scourge, isn't it? Scourge, but not a sub, but obviously a surface ship. So
they're probably not thinking of combining 5 ships into a mega hull, would they?
I don't know. What, link them together?
Oh
you mean?
God, please no.
I don't know. Well, that's what Voltron does. He's 5 lions that become Voltron.
Well, you know, if they did, you know, and let's just say instead of the not as in like the you know the mega ships as in out on the water going and collecting 91s all your life long for no return virtually, but mega ships as in a replacement of, you know, something along the lines of obviously, you know, the Hell Star type mega ship where you link them all together and then take them through as one ship.
Yeah.
You know, into a base hit. You know, and then spread all the aura across and that sort of stuff. I can see that. Because then you just combine all the effects of it and that sort of stuff. And if you're going to target that ship coming into your base, maybe you've got to pick pieces off of it to kill it off. I don't know. But that's
well, the one thing that I noticed that was strange in running the full 5 is the little green up arrow that you get to indicate it indicates an aura. Is that correct?
Yeah. Should do, yeah.
Okay. Whenever you have
a beneficial aura.
Yeah.
Whenever you have the Inquisitor by itself, it has its own little up green arrow, right? None of the rest of the 4 do. But when you pull inside the ring of the Inquisitor, they all get that. Whether they have a res cap or not. My Inquisitor does have a res cap on it. So it self-activates.
Yes, it should do, shouldn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I would res cap them all. To be honest, there's not. I don't think there's any of the ships in that fleet that you can't use res cap, is there? I think the whole group, I think, is res cap relevant, isn't it?
Well, I don't think that the auras are going to be res triggers, but you know, so that's not going to help with the res caps. But maybe like the inner ring that you were just talking about on the Inquisitor, that might be a res trigger. So,
well, the Inquisitor is a res trigger. It has its own res trigger.
The problem is, if you go and ask a question and put a technical question, unless you're asking the right person, like the person that built it, you're not going to get a technical answer. I'll tell you that for a start. You definitely no point going into routine, you know, CMs and that sort of stuff. It needs to go to the right channel, otherwise, because you're not going to get the correct answer, because there's too much math involved in the different combinations, that sort of stuff.
Well, it just says res trigger yes with a range of 70, so it's sort of the Inquisitor does it, yes.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just looking for the stats again now quickly. So
the other boats do not have res trigger, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, res trigger on this one here. So it actually says that in the special abilities, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Slow resistance
on the
80.
Inquisitor, yes.
Yeah, range 70. So is that the inner range? It seems quite a lot actually for a change, doesn't it? Range 70.
Yeah.
It's normally 35, 40, isn't it? So that's quite a decent sort of a, you know, almost two land tiles, like you say.
Yeah, and it does show affected classes Conqueror.
Only.
Yeah, so, but you're only going to use Conquerors. I mean, as opposed to like some of the other ones, like may only affect the Cannoneer, but we don't have to get into that conversation.
Think about this again. If you run into a base that somebody has res triggers on, like on a Harlock Alpha or whatever, it's also going to activate those if they don't self-activate.
Yeah, that's what I said about a lot of people were talking about putting this in your base as a defender as well.
Oh, you'll automatically activate anybody that comes in, giving 36% more damage.
Mm.
Once
and
again,
there are other things to worry about. There's the Thorns effect, isn't it, as well? Because, you know, not you're going to put the same ships in, but if like you put a glut in your base and that sort of stuff, and you can get the Thorns effect. Yeah, it all starts getting really mathematical, doesn't it? It's supposed to be a simple smash it up game.
Yeah,
you know?
my brain hurts thinking about it.
We need to have Brian beside us on every base.
Yeah, Brian's busy tonight. Unfortunately, he's out fixing his car. He's got a bit of a technical issue, so he has to sort transport out, unfortunately, because he was going to be here. But we'll look at this, I think, on Tuesday, because you know, I know we're sort of pre-raiding and that sort of stuff, but we'll look at this because he'll have time to do a bit of math, and I think we need it. I'll let him have a chat with Hefe again, that sort of stuff. That's good because the two of them can work through it. It's well above my pay scale, I'm afraid. But interesting.
I will make one little note. I know pretty much most of us understand and grasp this, just in case somebody has the question in their head. If you notice, the auras do say max stack of 1, so 2 survivors are not going to double the aura effect for your fleet. You only get the effect 1 time.
Yeah, and that's what it means. It's the positive effect. That's what people were a bit lost by. Not that it only works on 1 ship. It just means you can't put 2 of the same and then they get double the beef. Yeah, exactly
Right.
that.
That's the whole point of going back to saying it's a cohesive unit of 5. You can't bring multiples in of the other boats and expect to get those benefits.
Which is the opposite then to the prideful effect with prides. That's the point.
Right.
Because the more prides you have, the more the prideful builds and that sort of stuff. And I think that's what's confused a lot of people. The 2 different factions, I don't know what you want to call them maybe, but the 2 different systems, they work different altogether. So the Voltron effect versus the prideful effect, it stacks in different methods, different methods stack.
Yeah, I'm also very confused by the Bloodthirst duplicate aura cap of 5. All of them say 5, and I don't understand what it means.
Yeah, no, I actually asked GDO about that on another hold last week before, and that's just to say that actually it'll go then and spread across all 5, a maximum of 5 in the fleet. That's it. That's what it means. I asked it about something else, and he went, that's just to say that it's shared out across all 5 neighbouring ships.
Okay.
A bit of a weird way of wording it, and you know what sometimes they do? They don't word things particularly very well, but basically if it's it doesn't mean you can't. That's the difference. So the stacking per thing, it only affects, if you put 2 of, let's just say, oppressors in there, only 1 of them is going to give the bonus effect. But whatever effect is given then is given across all 5 ships. That's what it means.
Yeah, but it's really confusing because
it's poorly worded, terribly worded.
Yeah,
well, it should just be eliminated, because it also looks like if you have 5 liberators, maybe, or even more ridiculous.
Why don't you just say, shared across all 5 ships in the fleet, or all slots in the fleet, or something like that, But then again, it's duplicated aura against that particular group of ships, because it's not going to make that much difference to a pride and that sort of stuff,
Yeah, because in other instances, it would look like, example with the Survivor, if you have a plus combat speed of plus 75, and a lot of other things, if you have a duplicate aura of cap of 5, that means this is going to get counted 5 times if you have 5 survivors.
You'd think, yeah. But then that stops because the stack effect is obviously 1. So it's counterintuitive, isn't it? One makes it sound like it's great, it's hitting all 5, and the other one says it's only hitting a single. So there could have been an easier way to put it in, I think, in the blueprints.
Well, they're using the exact same wording to do diametrically opposed functions. That's like a the fancy word I'm trying to say.
Yeah, me Georgie at the moment.
Non sequitur. There we go. A non sequitur.
You know what that word means? Because I don't.
You can't use the same term to describe diametrically opposed items, because it's not possible to do.
Yeah, understood.
Unless you're Kixeye. Unless you're Kixeye. They got funky English.
We got George
funky
version
math.
doing it.
This is George too. Don't worry.
I didn't understand a word he just said.
Stu just builds it and smashes it. So there we go.
I give up. Anyway, let's move on, because this is hurting my brain. I can't deal with it.
Right. So what do you want to go to next, mate? Next TLC?
Oh,
Hunger's next.
There's more TLCs.
Hunger's next.
All right, fine. Next TLC.
Which
one's Hunger? Which one's Hunger?
Hunger brings in the incinerator hull. So it's the Reaver one, isn't it?
Oh, no, skip it. I can't. No.
It's painful, that hull.
We'll get back on the same track about auras, and then I'll die again.
Okay. All right, then. But doing that, I mean, to be honest, it was quite a difficult TLC, I thought, if you didn't have the right stuff. If you've got the right stuff, it's an easy one. But I think for most people, they're pricing.
You have to drive your icebreakers. You can't auto with your icebreakers.
Yeah. You have to have the right ships. Otherwise you struggle getting. And this is one that obviously got the mix. It's got garrison, obviously, as well as it's got obviously some bases as well. So it's
I think you can auto like 1 or 2 of your icebreakers for like a little damage, but I think like the rest of them you've got to try.
I think number 4, isn't it? Yeah, it's number 4 that's got it's Conqueror holes, isn't it? Which I don't know if you can do that one with Mudgluts. I'm not sure. Does anybody done this. Or in fact, you've done this one, haven't you?
Pretty sure you can do it with mudgluts.
I think it's I think number 4 is the one that you can do with mudgluts, if I remember rightly.
That's right. You can do mudgluts on 4.
Yeah, but to be honest, I mean, now I understand that sort of Voltron effect. You know, I did this once, you know, and I thought myself, I only need one of these ships because literally, as I'd done one, someone came in with a fleet of 5 of them, and like I said, he didn't get past turret number 2, and I understand why now because of that. You know, going back to that thing again, the idea is you're supposed to random pick one of the 5 ships and then attack each piece at a time. So he's probably pretty pissed, to be honest, that he built 5 the same.
Well, but we all built 5 Liberators when they came out because they were gods of the sea at that moment in time.
They certainly were, because we'd all built. The thing is that, fortunately, actually, I think the fact that Liberator came out really, really early on in the set. In fact, was it Liberator first and then Oppressor? I can't remember where it was. But the fact they were so chalk and cheese compared to the Prides, and we were starting to stop those even before the V Pride came out. That the Liberator was the complete opposite end of the spectrum, and its defenses were completely opposite to Pride. So while we were all tanking up and helping ourselves to stop Prides, the Liberator just basically walked in, and it was given tremendous
that's
missile.
The puzzle that is the game. Like, the balance shifts. That's the way it is. You know, it's always been like that, though. Like, you know, what's good one month might not be good the next month, but you better adapt and change fast, because otherwise you're going to get wrecked by this month's Pride.
I mean, something that gets good with Voltron effect on all those ships is going to have great fun the next few months, because you're going to absolutely skull.
Besides Mudglut,
you're going to skull cluck fuck everybody. I think.
I was going to say, like, besides Mudglut, I don't think the game has been like really badly unbalanced to the point of the days where it used to be.
No.
Like, I think that they've actually put some thought and plan into what's come out this time. So it's not like, completely shifted and you'd be like, oh my God, there's no hope. We need to wait for something to come out. Like, you have the tools. You can stop it.
The V-Pride comes close.
No, you can stop the V-Pride as well. Like, you just need to change and adapt. Once you learn what stops it and, what you need to stop it, you're okay. But, like, I have the tools, I'll tell you that. Like, you've definitely got the tools.
Yeah, the tools are there. I mean, I had somebody hit my base, believe it or not, first time for, I'm not sure his, I'll probably look at it, but had first time in 2 months. And actually, he got in, and that's not a problem. But it was my own lazy fault, because basically I put a blank hole in the background, which was the Survivor, and I hadn't really got anything on it apart from a few antis. Had I loaded it up probably with some missiles and that sort of stuff, all that was left by the time he got to the back was half of his V Pride. Everything else had died. And then I'd basically run out of ships by that one, and there was nothing on it. So
like I was saying, I mean, you can definitely stop everything that's come out to date apart from Mudgluts. I'm ignoring them. So, like, PvP wise, like the holders that's come out, it's been healthier. It's just been too much. That's my only,
But it should pause now, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
GDR did say, and GDA when he came on, obviously just after Christmas and that sort of stuff, that they would get through this, and it's taken longer than they were going to, because obviously they were flooding us really early on. They were going to get them all out early.
I think the issue is that because they handed out 6 state tokens with every single PvP hold that came out in the TLC, like, they didn't think it would be too much for us, because obviously we can build them, 1 or 2 of them instantly. But it doesn't really work like that, because the content is still overloaded because we have to build them. You don't have to.
Yeah, it's not that you want to. It's the
have to build it. So.
And rank. That's the point. Yeah, it's also the rank piece.
Like, okay, well, I need 2 of these, 2 of these, 2 of these, 2 of these, 3 of these. What the hell am I doing?
I also think they need to give us more variety, because they're giving us all this garrison. I would like to have something with assault, something with subs, something with something else. Not subs, all at once.
Stay away from subs. Don't listen to her.
I love the subs. That's my forte. No, but I understand that. But they did. But obviously then, and obviously that was obviously taken away, thankfully, because that was when people were doing the what was the thing that they got rid of all the targets for in this open seas? That you could go and win lots of ships for. What was it called? Beginning with F. Forgotten. Foundry, wasn't it? Which was actually a pain in the ass to do, to be honest. Which just annoyed lots of people and didn't annoy a lot of people. So a lot of the targets came off the open world, didn't they? Because they were slowing the game down massively and that sort of stuff. So they just basically said, everybody can have it at R15. Just get on with it. And now if you've got one, you can just go and get the next one sort of stuff. So it is a bit easier now. But there were different targets for different ones. I remember when Andrew did the bit on a web page that every type of target was out there, and you needed almost every type of ship to go and in your arsenal to go and do all the different types. But since that's died off, we don't need that, and that doesn't mean bring it back because it was a pain in the bum to do. So,
all right. So we've covered hunger. We've covered Inquisition.
Inquisition, yeah, the Spanish Inquisition, mate. Yep.
The
We've covered
Inquisition. What a show.
We've got the mega hole repeat again.
Well, they've changed it, mate. That's the problem.
Yeah, I know. I still can't do it because I suck at mega holes, and I'm ready to admit that.
This one has changed a bit. I mean, I didn't realise that, and we saw a couple of run-throughs of it, and actually I did just number one. I still think the mega hole one's a bit goofed, because if you've got a really low mega hole and what you want to do is get to the cannon, you know, because that's where it's all at, not the cannon, the rocket module and that sort of stuff. But to get to the rocket module, you need to have a really high level, you know, well, not a high level, we need to have a half decent, you know, mega hole. And the problem is Apollos come in and they seem to be on roids. And, you know, round one seems easy because you go, oh, there's a couple of ships coming in. And then it goes into round two and it's got this monster ship that's firing rat shit at you. And then there's the Apollos as well. And if you haven't got some decent stuff on there, a lot of people are struggling. You know, the mega holes are at 140 and 150 and that sort of stuff, you know, 160. They're struggling to even get through the first round. And then those that have got those there and that sort of stuff, and they get onto the third round and that sort of stuff, they're struggling really hard to get through to the last one as well. So, but I know there's work on it. I know there's work in progress to maybe adjust the TLCs on that in that area. So look forward to.
Yeah, that mega one is extremely hard. I've been using it basically just to give my mega a temporary bubble.
Yeah, a lot of people are doing that, aren't they? Because you can sneakily build in underneath a bubble, can't you? So. Yeah, I don't.
What I've been doing, I won't deny it.
No, everybody. And why would you not? If you can get out, you know, if you can be left alone while you're actually doing something else, then why not? Because the bubble doesn't physically do you any harm. Whereas if somebody else, another player, does it, then it does. They nick some of your bits off you. So why not make the most of it? I would. Anyway.
I think they. I know it'll be hard, but they really have to come up with a way to make TLCs easy the first time you do it. They seem to be progressively harder, and I'm sure because they don't want some of the older players to keep little easy tokens. But I think for running it for the first time, I don't know how you would do it, but
I don't know. I think you'd be scared off and probably not bother coming back for a considerable amount of time if you hit this Hyperion Rising TLC with something like a level 150, 560. You know, because you can't bring a fleet in or anything like that. So if you hit with that there, you'll get annihilated in seconds, you know, and I don't think it's really fair.
Yeah, and one thing you brought up is it's sort of been a new trend recently that, you know, normally the TLCs are, okay, you do 1 through 3 in prize pack 1 through 4 prize pack 2, you know. But now some of them are, you get to prize pack 3, and it's not all the prize, you know, they're shortening the time each time, but it's not like you're getting better at it because prize pack 3, you got all new targets with reduced time on some of these. And I'm not a big fan of that trend. I mean, it does make it more interesting, but you don't want interesting when you've got to chop down from 6 hours to 1 hour and you have to relearn the targets again within a 1 hour time period. And I'm not a huge fan of that trend at all.
Well, that trend is exactly what we're talking about in the Icebreaker TLC. We'll go on to that one if people are happy, because a lot of people have seen that. You know, you go through prize pack 1 and you go, oh, great, I've got the Garrison Bat, no problem at all, that's great. And I recognise some of those old targets, they're quite decent. And then you go to number 2 and go, right, I'm going to go get the Icebreaker and that sort of stuff, you know, and the D100V's in there. And then the targets do change. You're like, oh, okay, then. So the first one in this one is what's traditional, isn't it, in TLC? The first one's the same again as the first one, and then it just adds a couple more targets. And then you go into prize pack 3, so into you know the session 3, you know, and then it all starts getting a little bit complicated. And then you go into number 4, and it's like a completely different TLC. It's just the Call to Arms Icebreaker one. It's just freaking awful. It's you know, I mean, I have to say I had a couple of beers when I ran through it and I was doing that stream the other day. Yeah, I was even picking the wrong ships and that sort of stuff. I was like, no, man, what's going on here? Like, you know, and I was like, yeah, this really wasn't a good idea, but I still battled for it and did some stuff. But I mean, as I said on Tuesday's show, it's nice because there's amusingly, 5, C1X charge armors in there up for grabs if you get right the way through it and that sort of stuff, which is nice. It's good to have. A bit like the Skyfire one, in fact, I was doing that, which is a similar sort of targets, but not the same targets. I think that's harder this month than it was last month. Or maybe it's just my driving, But if you want to get those extra tokens, and you think about it, when there was, 10 in the last round? I think it is. Yeah, 10 tokens are in the last round. And you get 5, obviously. Sorry, you get 2 in the other one as well. So you can get 12 days worth of tokens, which is nearly a ship, isn't it? Not quite, but nearly a ship. So,
well, kind of the trend I'm noticing when it comes to the TLCs, and this is just going to take the big picture view on it. After the raid, they lowered the difficulty on the targets to turn them into the FM targets, and I'm perfectly cool with that. Lower damage for the weekly chores, no problem. That's a positive thing. Good job, Kixeye. There's a kudo for you. What I dislike is, for instance, you go into Call to Arms Icebreaker. And the first few targets, if I am correct, were basically the 60 level targets from the raid.
Yeah, that's what I think.
They have a certain particular damage level. They react a certain way. Okay, I don't do them damage free, but my repair times are pretty decent doing the first prize pack of the Icebreaker. Go over to Skyfire, and it's generally the exact same targets. Except prize pool 1 is kicking your butt with the slightest mistake. The damage level is like raid level damage on it.
Yeah.
And that's what ticks me off.
Well, but it also has the older type, remember the old Punishers and that sort of stuff. When we go back to when we had 87s was the top level in the FM, so it was the real long range cold snaps and that sort of stuff there, and you were having to sort of really tank up on AB3 and that sort of stuff, and then just run the gauntlet, and try and kite past as best you could, and although the damage was turned down, the concept was they had a long range. Now the damage is being turned up, but and they've still got the range, so when you're going in there with your single XYZ, and if you haven't got the right sort of defense mechanisms on, you're not going to take your standard FM fleet you've got now in and get away scot-free. You're not. I mean, yes, you can take in some icebreakers with a charge armor and get away with it. I'm sure you can. But you're not going to take in a single Zealots unless you've got some Tridents on, quite a lot of Tridents, I think, to be honest, which haven't come out again for an awful long time. That's something that they really should push out again, I think. There's a lot of people complaining that those haven't been offered, and we've had so many garrison targets. But, and that's, like you said, in prize pool 1. And actually, it gets easier, I think, for people with the more modern fleets, the further you get through it. Well, that's the way I look at it. I think the older ships, the concept, the way you built them was fine, but then the damage is turned up higher, so they're not surviving so long. Because I even messed around on my older alt account, which is only a level 18, that sort of stuff, which is the coin-free one, and I took a Tide Seeker in that sort of stuff, and which was my old, lead ship for my Citadels. Yeah, it was dead in seconds. Didn't stand a chance,
One thing I would recommend to people, I'm not sure if you're planning to end at 6, but if people that still are working on the Inquisitor TLC and don't have the flagships for your assaults already done, use this as a chance, and don't plan to have them done for the raid, is to go and watch TSM's macro video on how to get your macros done, so you can somehow park those things in the corner, because you need to practice before the raid, because the way you drive is very different. Because I didn't realize, because I'm running both the N button macro and the right mouse button macro simultaneously.
Yeah, I've created a macro that does several commands depending on different keys I press, but I'm not going to share that one out, because ultimately I don't want people getting confused, because that's hard to explain, if you know what I mean. Every macro that I push out at the moment is just got a single button to push, and it does a certain job. But if you choose different macros, as you said there, Heifer, you can, like with auto hotkey, you can actually run 3 or 4 macros, so long as the button that actually does the activation is not the same on either macro,
But what I'm saying what I'm saying is use the Inquisitor to practice and perfect it prior to the raid. Because like certain things I wasn't expecting, like if you're, if you use the right mouse button to click on a target, it has a weird reaction. And if you push the N button and it's going to go wherever your mouse is at that point. You don't need to. I'm still working through it. I probably shouldn't even have tried to run. If I was trying to do it efficiently, because I'm unfamiliar with the macros, I probably would have done better off just not using my my gut spill of Phoenix, because I don't know enough about it. But what I'm saying, this is a good place to practice for those fleets, because it's running for 2 weeks, so it gives you an option. It gives you a chance to sort of work out all the bugs that you have, because I had a bunch of bugs going on there, because I'm still having issues as far as when to use one, because am I right? Like if you push the N button, it's going to be wherever your mouse is hovering at that point, right?
At that time, it should be where you put the mouse, which is difficult if you're trying to creep. But there are other. I mean, I have to say that there are two things I'll say for that. Then, whatever time, if you ever go in to start using a new macro, the best thing to do is just go out and find some submarines and go and hit some 71s, and then play with a macro. Just drive around killing off the 71. Go out far. You've got 5 minutes to mess around, and go and just literally play on the screen. It's about the safest way to go and test out your macros. Get some subs, jump into a 71 cargo and that sort of stuff, and then just get used to driving them. And that's why I've always done it. And so if I'm building a macro, I go in and do that. And then the other thing I was going to say is, some people's, it depends on obviously your computer setup. Wireless mouses are a nightmare to use. I really suggest you don't if you're going to be using macros. Even if you've got especially a Bluetooth one, they are terrible. And the old infrared type sort of things, they're awful as well. So I guarantee that you will have a better time on a macro if you've got a wired mouse, a USB one. And the other thing I was going to say is, there's actually a group of 5 or 6 of us that do like doing macros, and one of these guys is actually on Mac, not on PC. So we're actually going to do a hangout and stream and that sort of stuff, and we'll do some live macros. And I'm not the lead on this. I just sort of like brought it sort of like genuinely into the game as a genuine way of doing ship control for people that are having trouble with the dexterity and that sort of stuff, But for others, it's making, and as a side effect, yes, or maybe as a side effect, or maybe not, I don't know. But it is definitely making your ship control a little bit more, easier. But then there are other people that really dislike macros because they think that Kixeye are making you have to use macros, which I don't think that's the case, to be honest. I don't honestly think that's the situation, because a lot of people that, I've never seen a free Mac program yet that you can have that actually does the ship control the way I can do it and that sort of stuff. So there's no way they're going to implore using, a second product, that's not their own. Unless they just bring in, like the up arrow, down arrow, and that sort of stuff. They need to write it into the program itself, which I don't think they'll do. So it's a bit like saying that, there are things that you can use to hide the base parts and that sort of stuff on the open seas, but they're not going to include that in the game because that would be a blatant bit of cheating. But they can't stop you from employing a secondary, program on your home computer, to aid things like antivirus and that sort of stuff. So, but macros is a different thing altogether, to be honest. It's it's something we're going to look at. It's something we're definitely going to do as a stream. I'll probably try and get it done in before the raid starts.
Because I think it's important before the raid, because the way they structured things, a lot of people they have the flagships, but they don't have them in a condition that they can drive with the rest of the ships. Just the way the timing worked out relative to VXP weekend and whatnot.
Yeah, I agree. I think I still disagree that I think the VXP weekend's in the wrong place. I think the VXP weekend should be the week before the raid. I really do. I think that'd be the best place for it. It gives you all that time to build your ships and get yourself up and running, and then literally the weekend before the raid starts, that's when the VXP should be on. So the last thing you do is rank them before you actually then go in and. Although the problem is then, as you know, they go and run some poxy TLC the weekend after, that requires these ships. So, but yeah, anyway.
Or just eliminate it, but that's a whole other issue.
Yeah, or just eliminate it. Yeah, just don't worry about rank. But then that's like chunking away a big piece of their profit margin, isn't it? Because that's ultimately, this is a shit. It's not a shareholders game, but then it pays money, doesn't it? It's one of the proportions of their income. So, but yeah, I do agree. The most common macro that I use is for my FM is number 2 ship is independent, and all the rest of them I control with the end key. And that just places all my, for example, my monos going to one location where my Zelos will go forward and actually use it as a tank sort of stuff, And then the other one obviously is basically where the lead flagship, it's like a Savage Kodiak. I tuck it in the corner, and then I use the macro then to move the other 4 ships around and do the actual target attacking, which is what Hefe's basically talking about there. The third one was a bit more complex than that. It was number 1 ship, which was the Savage Kodiak, was tucked in the corner. Number 2 ship was the Skyfire, and then 3, 4, and 5 were actually Phoenixes.
Okay.
And I was using all 3 things as separate entities within the same sort of thing. So
there's nothing like tricky that you can do to like create. I don't know enough about them. I'm just throwing it out there, but if you have your caps locked on, or that
you can, yes, you can. If caps lock's on, it will do something different. The same button will do something different, yeah. Or if you've got the tab down. So yes, there are. I've got a couple of macros where in the same single macro, you can press 5 or 6 different buttons on your keyboard.
But is there a way to have like caps lock on, and it's constantly telling your number 1 not to move?
Yes, yes, you can, because obviously, yeah, you can do that. There are many things you can do, but the problem is what's good for you may not be good for the next person. So that's why I try and keep it really simple.
A lot of people are trying to freeze up their flagship, and I think if something like if everything acted the same, and all they had to do was put the caps lock, and their flagship is just sitting wherever, and everything else acted normal, that would probably be the easiest transition, unless there's some bugs with that I'm completely.
Here's the problem with that. If you're just saying, okay, if I engage the caps lock, it's not going to do this, it's a little complicated to build that macro because basically the caps lock would be working in conjunction with the letter keys. That's where the difference would come in on it, because a capital A is viewed differently on a computer than a lowercase a.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of other buttons that are around. You don't want to be hitting number lock, because that's going to cause you. There are a couple of buttons. Maybe, I don't know. We'll look at something, but that's the idea. We're going to have the stream, and then people are going to be in the chat and that sort of stuff, and maybe put some questions in beforehand, and we'll try and talk through some of these things, and maybe just introduce people into, because it's a bit like giving you a fleet build in PvP, giving somebody a macro. Sounds great, but it's only telling you half the story, because you don't know what they want to do with it.
Exactly.
That's the problem. You don't know what they want to do with it. And so it's great saying, I've got this macro, it's fantastic. Yeah, because it suits me. But it's like Stu building a massive PvP fleet, and I build the mirror fleet, but actually, or a defense fleet, and my base is different to his, so it didn't do anything at all. And I just go, well, that was rubbish. You give me bad advice, So they're really an individual's thing, to be honest, and it's got to be the one that works for you, and it's got to be for the right ship. Every time I change the ships around, if I'm like I said, if I'm running Godforsaken, using the mono flag instead of using the Zelos, then I want the macro that I can control ships 2, 3, 4, 5, but number 1's independent. But if I'm using the Zelos, I'll put the gridirons at the front or something else at the front and put the Zelos in slot 2. So I want to control 1, 3, 4, 5 instead. So it's a different macro. Anyway. Right, so has anybody got any burning points they want to bring up? Because we're sort of like at time. We'll go across the board first. So who have I got first on the side there? So, Breeden, what about you, mate? You got anything else extra you want to cover?
Not specifically. Hey, I think I'm going to be set for the raid this month, though. I'm glad the Inquisition TLC is in there. It's going to give me some practice on them. The damage is up on the TLC even compared to the raid, because I got hit by the scatterguns in the raid on the 60 level targets, and they really didn't do that much to my 2 Phoenixes. I got hit by one during the TLC, and it killed half my fleet with one shot.
Out.
And that's using charged armors on 3 Phoenixes. So be aware of that. Drive carefully. very carefully.
Yeah, agreed. And you notice that some people that, and I hope they don't do it, well, they probably will, because, you know, there's always a change between first raid, second raid, and third raid, okay? And if you've been noticing that obviously the 100S, I'm not saying it is the 100S, but the target looks slightly different, i.e. they're blocking off the center. They hint on it, they put one bar across it, and now there's 2 bars there now, or they've moved the bar, sorry. So don't assume that we can go into this next raid format by going into the middle of it and then drawing obviously some of the ships in towards the target and then killing them off by kiting them. So you might have to, I mean, they let you do that in this first one, probably because they learn by their mistakes and that sort of stuff, you know, or they just went, you know, that can be done because we saw that in the preview. But now you've got your flagship that you should have by now, or some people were very close to it, even a blank one, you know, if you manage to achieve it, then they're going to cut that option out and you're going to have to go around the outside and probably kill all these ships off. So just something to bear in mind, really. Anything else, Breeden? Is that it?
Hey, that's good for me.
Okie dokie. So, yeah, Black Level Mob, what about you?
Not really. I've pretty much done all the campaigns. The very first campaign we talked about, each time I did it, it got easier. So it's like 60 coins the first round, the fourth round, then like 30 the second, and 20 the last couple, the last rounds.
So that's just the familiarity piece, you know?
Yeah. But pretty much I don't really have anything else to say. You guys have already said it.
Cool. Okay, excellent. Gorilla, mate, if you got your mic working, you've been talking in chat on the sidelines there, mate. So maybe small actually, where you put it down and said that macros, you're an old school fart. Okay, a bit like everybody else here, Hefe particularly, because he's one of the oldest in the game, and you just play the game normally, as in using your keyboard and not really too keen on the old macros. But that's okay. And he says he's ranking at the same time, but he's listening. Well, that's good to know. All right then. Effie, got anything extra, mate, to bring up?
No, I think I caused enough trouble already.
No, not at all. Peter, you being quiet tonight, that's probably my fault, but you know.
The only thing I can think of is why do people use slot 2 for their tanks if they have a special flagship in their play instead of, say, putting the tank in slot 5?
Don't know.
Because that's how I run my
so it's in the middle.
My Zeb fleet. I've got the MX Prime in slot 1. The 2 through 4 is my regular Imperians, and slot 5 is my Zealous. So it's just like, okay, Zealous is in 5, hit 5, move it up, and then just up and just drive all over the place.
Yeah, do you know what? And the funny thing for me, I've put the Zealous where my finger, when it's on the keyboard, you know, with hitting the up and down arrows keys, where my index finger of my left hand just happens to sit over on the number keys, and it just happens to hit number 2. Just seems to sit there. I haven't got to stretch and that sort of stuff. And 5, I'd have to actually move my hand. So it's ergonomics for me. That's the only reason I do it.
Yeah, my tape's always on number 5 slot. I try to put it in other places, but then I end up messing up more. Try to do my targets.
Yeah, I think so. That's just an ism for each person, I suppose. 5 makes sense because 5 obviously your 2 and 3 ships are on the outside, aren't they? And that sort of stuff. And 5 and 4 on the inner edge, and obviously 1's in the center. So it would be more ergonomic for the balance of the ships for 5 to be the ship. I agree with you.
Well, I know regardless of what position I put, like if I've got the specialty flag, I was doing this with the Age sit, the Harlock sit, and my Zealous happened to be in 5. I just built my macro where when I hit my specific key, it moves 1 through 4 to wherever my mouse was, and then it activates my tank. So I can then move and instantly be moving it. I don't have to hit a second button for it.
That's good, yeah. No, that's a good idea, that, because then, yeah, so it starts to charge. So that'd be really good for gridirons, wouldn't it? Because that thing then needs a bit of a wind-up, doesn't it, sometimes, you know? If you
know, that's just my setup. It works for me, and so I'm happy with it.
Yeah, no, I get that, because, yeah, it may not be for somebody else. And you've got to remember the fact that macro is doing that. That's the other thing as well. When you switch from one macro to another, and especially if you're doing precise hitting, you've got to remember what it's freaking doing, because otherwise you can get yourself into a whole pile of poo. You know, it can really catch you out, especially with those, you know, like those mines and that sort of stuff. If you forgot actually which one's doing the auto control and which one's not. So anyway, Rum, what about you, mate? Anything else to finish off?
Everything's pretty good. Just wondering if anybody's come up with a good use for the Lance missile yet.
No.
Another introduction with no value.
Well, unless you're obviously running Zealous and that sort of stuff, and you're going to slam it on there, and then obviously, But it's on the isn't it? Sorry, the Imperium. I can't see anybody changing their Imperiums, because those that have got them built and using them nicely are probably using them for the FM. Are you going to build another fleet just to put that on? I know the power of it's crazy, but I wouldn't go using it in the FM because the FM's obviously got it's got the screen that stops missiles going through. So.
Right. Well, I did fit one to the Imp flag, and just to see what it's going to do because I don't use the Imperians anyway, and it's kind of cool.
Oh, and I don't doubt it. I must admit, I've never built an Imperians myself. I must admit, I've never needed to, but I've never felt the need to, only because I don't like the fact that they haven't got the full range effect that Citadels had, and obviously now things like monos have. So you sort of you got a smaller fighting area, so which annoys me. So I've chosen not to build them. I know Ren likes some of that sort of stuff. I know he's got quite a lot of them. So, but at the moment he's moving house and that sort of stuff. So he's a busy man at the moment. Cool.
Yeah, I like my exams, especially with the Ragnarok.
Oh, the rags, yeah. I know a couple of friends in my alliance have got the rag on it, and it don't have to make a mess, doesn't it? it's a crazy mortar, but as it should be. It's in a heavy slot. It should do. Yeah. It should be, shouldn't it?
Kaboom to you, sir.
Yeah, anything that's in a heavy slot should work well. But yeah, so yeah. I mean, I'm sure that somebody will have a fleet out and that sort of stuff, and we'll because it's only just turned up in the CFN, isn't it? So. And I like watching videos with unusual stuff on them. It's always good, Watching 70 of the same things, just done it slightly different, is one thing. But yeah, those couple of Ragnarok videos I saw, they were interesting. They were good. Good. Well, as soon as anything for you, mate? Anything else?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, no, you guys have covered quite a bit tonight. I just hope Kixeye can maintain a balance, allowing maybe some new players. I know it's a 6-year-old game, but just between base hitting PvP, retaining players, seems like we're losing so many. Sectors are getting pretty slim. So anything we can do to hang on to new players would be great. But I don't know, we might be beyond that point now, so.
Yeah, I'll drink to that, mate.
I don't know. I know they need to work on, and I know a couple of people are working on about how to get new people from level 50 probably into the game where they're not just getting annihilated. I know we used to get annihilated, but we used to get annihilated in really simple things, and now it's just mega complex, isn't it? So.
Yeah, now that they have this tier system, I really don't see how you can't average somebody's total, tier and weigh it against, somebody else's level of technology. I think it would be a really easy way to, find a balance. That way you could even have ships, if you want to attack a level 50, fine, attack a level 50, but you have to use ships with level 50 technology.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
It'll give you some use to some older fleets, I don't know. But I'm sure the coding is too complex or something.
Maybe, yeah, I'm not really sure, to be honest. It's something. Stu, you still alive, mate, if you're there? Not sure if you are.
No, I'm here. I just want next raid to go as smoothly as possible for me, because now I've got my full fleet. I'm happy. I want to auto the whole raid for fun.
Are you happy with Skyfires, mate, still?
I don't know. Too soon to tell. We'll see after the raid, I guess.
Yeah, this will be the real test now, won't it? Now the flag's done, you've got your rank, and you've got your full fleet in. This will be the one that will, because this, you still think that this is going to be the fleet that's going to be doing your chores in the coming sort of few months once they change the 91s and something else. So, I
mean, this particular chore isn't that important to me because I'm not really a huge mega fan anyway. No. Maybe one day I might get into it. Who knows? But so I'm not. Oh my God, this is make or break for me. But at the same time, if the next raid goes really well, then I'll have a lot more of a positive outlook towards the game. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, at least it works. Fair dues. GDR, good ship.
No, GDR's design of this ship. Wow, holy crap.
Yeah,
it's like he literally just built a ship and went, okay, screw your targets. GG. Game over. I've won the game.
I think it's the other way around. I think he looked at the target and went, I'm going to build something better. You know, and that's a good
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Yeah,
It's
as
like when
opposed
they
to
built the target, and he was just like, "Okay, destroyed it." Bye.
now I'm building the ship. As opposed to let's a ship and let's build a target so that it annihilates the ship.
It's exactly what an auto hull should be, and I hope that they continue the trend with the next auto hulls. And that I want to see auto hulls that are, you know, competitive. Like, I mean, if we're going to have two different hull types for the raid, then I want them both to be competitive, so we can kind of, you know, pick between the two. Okay, a little bit more damage for being lazier, fine.
But I like
this
this stuff. Yeah. I mean, I've been using mine on my mobile phone, I must admit, and that sort of stuff, and you can do that quite nicely with it because the stun effect, it works really well, as opposed to, you know, you have to kite and run that sort of stuff, and it's a lovely technical hull, and I like the way the Phoenixes work, and, you know, but sometimes you just want to do that other thing. So, and since obviously, you know, the Tideseeker, this is the first time we've had the auto hull that can actually auto. So, yeah, it's good news. Right, okay. You want to close, mate?
Yep, this has been TFC, whatever episode, whatever season. Something about TLCs, forgotten. And we'll see you all on the next one, Tuesday.
Good night, everybody.
Good night and good luck.